Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, David Benavidez may or may not deserve a title shot against the winner of Artur Beterbiev and Bivol. Well, of course, we know Beterbiev won in a very razor-edge close fight against Bivol over the weekend. But before I give you my analysis on that, feel free, I encourage you right now to subscribe to the channel. Click on the like button right now. You can do it right now. You don't have to wait. You can do it right now. You can even click on the join button. Become a member of the Roll the Tape film crew and become a supervisor as well. There's so many different perks that are associated with you joining this channel, and we appreciate all of the support and contributions made. Now, David Benavidez. Now, we already know that time and time again, we've heard that David Benavidez was somehow, some way deserving of fighting Canelo Alvarez. And the somehow, some way that he's deserving in fighting Canelo Alvarez is because he earned the right. He earned the privilege based on his performances. I mean, look, just in his last few fights at 168, he has definitely closed the show out in dramatic fashion. I mean, look, his last fight at 168 pounds, he fought Demetrius Andre. I am not calling him Boo-Boo. I'm a grown man. I'm not calling him Boo-Boo. But Demetrius Andre. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Yes, Demetrius. Well, some people call him Andrade, but I think his name is Demetrius Andre. Bottom line is, you saw what David Benavidez did to him, right? TKO fashion. Before that, he fights Caleb Plant. He lost the first 4 or maybe 5 rounds because Caleb Plant did a wonderful job outboxing him. But David Benavidez closed the show out. Now, he didn't knock Caleb Plant down, nor did he knock Caleb Plant out. But, I mean, he won the fight fair and square. Very definitively. It was not a controversial decision. He won it. And, of course, the work that he's put in at 168, even before those 2 big fights that landed on pay-per-view, by the way. All I'm saying is, we knew that David Benavidez was who he was based on the performance level in many consecutive fights. I mean, look, he's still undefeated, even though he moved up in weight at 175 pounds. And now he moves up in weight. He's not going to fight Canelo. Canelo don't believe that the amount of money that he deserves to fight a David Benavidez, considering the risk involved, is there. So, bottom line is, Canelo decided he's not going to fight Benavidez. Now, some people say that Canelo's scared of Benavidez. I don't think Canelo is afraid or scared of anybody. But at the same time, he used his right and privilege by the work and the amount of work that he put in the sport of boxing as a whole to say, you know what, I can pick and choose my fights and I'm not going to fight Benavidez. So we know that even though David Benavidez earned the privilege and the right to fight Canelo Alvarez, he's not going to fight him. And that's one of the main reasons why David Benavidez moved up in weight. Now, in his last fight, in David Benavidez's last fight, some people may not think he looked as good as we're accustomed to seeing him. But remember, when a fighter, a professional boxer, is moving up in weight, there are certain ramifications and elements involved that the fighter, the professional boxer, has to deal with and make the adjustments to. And that was his first fight at 175. So the question becomes, does David Benavidez earn a shot or deserve a shot at Beterbiev, who won against Bivol in a razor-edge, competitive, close fight? And I think that if David Benavidez, this is just me, I think if he fights maybe another 2 fights, I say 2 fights because we want to make sure that David Benavidez is acclimated to this weight, because he's already a big guy. I mean, he's always been a big guy, even at the divisions where he competed at lighter than 175. He's always been a big guy, and he's had weight trouble in the past. And so I think to give him time to be acclimated to the weight of 175, about 2 more fights. About 2 more. I mean, 1 more is for real, the amount of experience and time that he has and the investments that he made in this sport. 1 more fight might do, especially the fact that he has good representation. And I always tell you this time and time again, you don't find it nowhere else. You don't hear this nowhere else. And that's why I'm glad you're here. And that is, good representation in this business is priceless. And we know that Samson Lukowicz, one of the best in the business, promotes David Benavidez. And so David Benavidez has good representation. 1 more fight, he might be ready for a Beterbiev. I think 2 fights will get him fully acclimated to the weight. It'll allow him to gain the experience at the weight. It'll give him some opportunities to work on the craft and work on making some adjustments, technically speaking. I'm talking about technically speaking and tactically speaking, in the weight of 175 pounds to be fully equipped and prepared for a fighter like the unified light heavyweight champion of the world, Beterbiev. And so I believe that if Benavidez make those adjustments, be acclimated to the weight, let his representation, Samson Lukowicz, and those representatives of Samson Boxing go in, work out the kinks to put him in certain fights that'll make him look good. Not just, I'm not talking about, the local bus operators. I ain't talking about the local trash truck drivers. I'm talking about, or the Uber drivers. I'm talking about reputable opponents where he can really, really gain experience at this weight and still have a legitimate challenge on his hands. Because fighting a guy like Beterbiev, or look, even Benavidez fighting Bivol. Bivol's not a walk in the park. I think Bivol will give Benavidez some trouble. That'll be a good fight. But Bivol's coming off of a loss. You know what I mean? So he got to get in the back of the line now. But at the end of the day, Benavidez, I think that he deserves a title shot, just not right now. But he should be ready, I think, between 1 or 2 fights in this division. And with the representation that he have, to work behind the scenes. Because I keep telling y'all this, and I'm going to leave you all with this. Because I want to change the old adage and turn it into a new adage in the business and the sport of boxing. And the old adage is, you're only as good as your last fight. I told you all that's not true. You're only as good as the team around you. And if you don't believe, you know what, I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.